intent on getting this guy off the road. They are devoting more resources. They are adding additional units to triangulate and get into his vicinity as soon as he drives safe enough to continue the pursuit. Right now it's in tracking mode. The LAPD air support helicopter is doing the work here, following him from above, and now it looks like he's getting it might be showing signs of getting onto the freeway here. He's just crossing Central Avenue. Looks like he's on his phone again, trying to make a phone call, speeding down Imperial Highway here. So we'll see what they decide to do here, but right now he is driving way too dangerously to continue the pursuit on the ground. Right now you can see him actually doing wheelies, speeding right through intersections, and just a few moments ago, guys, even riding onto the sidewalk without any hesitation whatsoever. So a dangerous rider on this bike here, believed to be armed and full of antics as he continues this pursuit, guys. Oof. Well, I mean, he's got some more suburban traffic at each of these stoplights, and he's got opportunities to get on the freeway. As far as I am aware, he has not actually traveled on the freeway. He's taken surface streets to get down in this area, but he is not stopping for any of these red lights. And as leaving through anybody in his way here, and you can see at each one of these stoplights he encounters more of that traffic and just has no hesitation, splitting lanes, going right through cars, and at times, as I mentioned, even jumping onto the sidewalk. So it is a hairy pursuit, to say the least. Look at this, more pedestrians, bicyclists, slowing down at least. He's braking, but he is continuing to run right through the red light, just waiting for cross traffic to pass here. At least he's braking. Some encouraging signs there that he's not completely out of his mind, but certainly a very dangerous person behind the wheel here of this motorcycle as he now goes underneath the Harbor Freeway here, underneath the 110 freeway, and this might put him, well, yeah, he's going to continue down 115th. He's on 115th, passing Figueroa, showing signs of making a northbound turn now, northbound on Denver Avenue. So northbound Denver from Imperial, and slowing down at least just a little bit. At times, when he's got free range, he really was pushing the speed limits. Now you can see him slowing down at least a little bit here. I don't know how much more he can have in this bike, but they don't get great gas mileage. Unclear how much he started with here. At some point, that's going to become an issue the way he's been riding, guys.
It looks like he's also on the phone with somebody. We're seeing him kind of speak possibly on speakerphone, and then he's holding the edge of the phone up, it appears, to his ear to try to see what the individual he is speaking to is saying back to him. So that also, I mean, obviously we're told when we're in our cars, don't talk on your cell phone while you're driving. Certainly don't talk on your cell phone while you're in the middle of a police pursuit on a motocross bike, you know, whipping through traffic. So that's just adding to the danger here for this driver.
Yeah, and you know, here's, as he's going northbound on Figueroa Street, heading northbound toward downtown, my concern here is that, you know, he could be talking to somebody who's watching our coverage.
Yeah.
and getting information in real time about where the police might be, what tactics they might employ. We don't know that that's what's happening, but he is, it would appear, communicating or at least listening to someone and trying to get information, we presume, relating to his current position, which is that he's being pursued by the LAPD, who want very much to stop him from doing what he's doing. The belief is, or the report is, that he had a weapon, and they want to ascertain whether, in fact, that happened. Look at that. He just ducked back there, and now he's heading, continuing northbound on Figueroa from Century. Northbound from Century and heading again. He's going to just head toward the USC, the USC area, and then beyond that, it'll be into downtown. There's a lot of traffic this time of day that starts stacking up, especially on Figueroa. It's a major north-south artery, an alternative to the Harbor Freeway that a lot of people use at this time of day when they don't want to spend all their day on the freeway. So he's going to encounter a lot of traffic. There's people out there walking. There's pedestrians. There's cross traffic. This is not a great situation.
And Chris, those black and white patrol vehicles that you mentioned that are kind of keeping up with him on the ground there, where can you see they are? And okay, there we go, zooming out so we can see that they still have eyes on him. He's just a couple blocks, it looks like, ahead of those cruisers as they keep an eye on him on the ground. But again, they're also trying to be mindful of the traffic in this area right now, a little bit after 5 o'clock as rush hour really gets underway.
Yeah, they keep falling back a little bit when it's too dangerous, and then they try and catch up. They're doing a great job staying about a block behind him or so, but as he continues to run through these red lights, he keeps putting a little bit of distance, just like he is right here. No problem going into oncoming lanes of traffic sometimes, just to get around some of these traffic jams, continuing northbound Figueroa, and now stopping for, well, not stopping, but going right through this red light here, despite the cross traffic there, and that's where those units start to fall back. They cannot do what he's doing there in those patrol cars. So they're now a few blocks back once again, and we're now entering LAX's airspace here as he continues to move away from us. You'll see him getting smaller and smaller as he gets further away. We're holding steady right around the 105 freeway at the 110 freeway. He is paralleling the 110 freeway right along Figueroa Avenue, and we'll be able to come around at some point here and take the 110 north, probably meet him on the other side of the LAX Bravo here. You can see all of those units, though, continuing as they try and catch up once again, but intentionally keeping their distance, as this is in tracking mode, not technically in pursuit mode, but he is continuing this pursuit, refusing to pull over, and I think at some point they're going to have an opportunity if he runs out of fuel here. I just can't imagine that he's going to get too far here. At some point, this ride is going to end, and they have continued to keep the pressure on him because of the nature of the crime. I think it's a little bit more than just a man with a gun, although that was the initial call. I think they are dealing with some more intelligence, although that is just speculation on my part, based on some of the tactics they're using here and the amount of units they're dedicating to this pursuit. A little bit unusual, especially for a motorcycle. These motorcycles can be very squirrely. They're very hard to pursue, especially during rush hour conditions like we're seeing here in South LA. To dedicate that many units and to keep the pressure on as long as they have. This has been going on for upwards of a half hour, maybe even 40 minutes or so, and they're not making any effort to pull back whatsoever. They are trying at all costs to keep up with him, as he now, I think, makes that right turn back underneath the 110 freeway. All
right, eastbound on Florence is what we're hearing from Figueroa, and I believe the video we're looking at on the right is video from earlier. This shows the extent he was going to when he was in some of these neighborhoods to try to get away from police. He was moving pretty fast. Now he's going northbound on Grand, so we should see him pop out a little bit on the video on your left, on the screen on your left. And we apologize for the width of the shot. We're trying to reacquire him. We had to obey the FAA rules regarding getting into LAX airspace, so we had to back off and then go around, head east, and then northbound as he did. So we are doing that in Air 7 while we're trying to reacquire this individual that the LAPD is also trying to get back a hold of, at least visually. We don't know if their helicopter is still over him and able to track, but this is a difficult thing, and especially with a motorcycle. Oh, looks like you found him.
Yep, taking the freeway. First signs of getting onto the freeway here, and he is now northbound on the 110 freeway through this rush hour traffic. Actually, I got to say the northbound side is relatively light right now, so we'll see how the behavior changes here as he drives through pretty moderate traffic, I would say, on the northbound side of the 110 freeway. That'll give LAPD, though, plenty of opportunity to get onto the freeway with him, and they were positioned to do that. They'll probably be popping into the shot here at any moment. California Highway Patrol also tracking this pursuit. This is now on the freeway, so that is part of the course here, par for the course, I should say. And he is now splitting those lanes, probably going to put a little more distance as those units close in on him. As he passes Vernon Avenue.
Yeah, does it appear that he's going a bit faster now? From our vantage point, maybe it looks like it.
Not really. He's kind of going with the traffic here, and it's a little bit of an optical illusion, too. As we approach him, you'll start to get a better idea of his speed, but we're kind of directly behind him, shooting from a distance. A little bit hard to tell. He's probably doing right around the speed limit with the rest of the traffic here. Northbound through Vernon, northbound 110 freeway. We'll see if he picks up any speed here. Of course, the more speed he picks up, the more fuel he's going to exhaust here, and that'll only limit his ride even further here. But he is picking up a little bit of steam now, pulling over to the right lane, might even be thinking about getting off the freeway.
All right, and let's talk for a second about what tactics they can employ here against a motorcycle. They can't really use a spike strip, right? Or I guess they could. If they could make sure that he would run over it, but they can't use a pit maneuver against him because that could be considered almost lethal force, I think. So yes. What in terms of the tactics that the pursuing officers can employ, they're kind of limited.
No, those tactics are all off of the table with a motorcycle. Yet another reason why these motorcycle pursuits, or in this case a dirt bike, are so precarious, because you really are limited in terms of the options that law enforcement has at their disposal. The best they could hope for is that he boxes himself in, and by being in the right position, they could be ready for the termination of the pursuit. But unless that happens, he's going to be able to weave through traffic. He's going to be able to split lanes. He's going to be able to put space between them. And they really don't have much that they could do unless he poses a lethal danger to them. And then, of course, they have more force that they can employ in that event. In the event that he was to pose a threat to officers, that would change the game quite a bit. But other than that, it's really a game of watching him, especially with the luxury of that air support up above, able to track his each and every move from the sky, relaying his location to those ground units, and then being in position to end this safely and resolve it by taking him into custody, hopefully as peacefully as possible. But with a man who is believed to be armed, again, all bets are off, and we can only hope that his intentions are to just end this as peacefully as possible. Hopefully he doesn't even think about pulling out that weapon.
Yeah, and it looks like traffic's slowing down right now in this area, but the advantage for this individual on this motorbike is that he, can weave in and out of traffic. So when the cars are kind of stopped and backed up on the freeway there, that doesn't necessarily impact him as much.
Maybe getting off here. Looks like he is showing signs. You're right. We're in the thick of rush hour now as we make our way squarely into the downtown area, transitioning, I think, onto the 10 freeway, taking I believe that's going to be the eastbound transition from the 110 freeway to the 10. We'll see if that's correct. No, I think he's taking the westbound. Is that going to put him on the westbound, Rob? I think it's going to be onto the 10 freeway here. Here's the split. And
boy,
where'd he go?
Squeezing right behind that truck. There he is.
Behind the truck. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting off the freeway altogether. Getting off the freeway altogether at Cherry Street. Picking up a little bit of speed here. We'll see if those units can get off with him. But he has now put some serious distance between himself and those pursuing officers. We counted about a half a dozen units that were able to make their way onto the freeway with him. But again, he's been able to really put a lot of distance in between them. But hopefully they'll be able to catch up here as he passes the convention center. Now coming out onto, he's on Pico, coming up on, I believe that's going to be Figueroa, making the left northbound turn onto Fig. And this is going to be the classic move, right, guys? Right in the middle of downtown LA. And unless they can keep eyes on him, there are just too many hiding spots with a vehicle any vehicle, let alone a motorcycle, where there are just so many parking garages, so many tall buildings. Even for that helicopter, it's about to get a lot trickier to maintain a visual of him. As you can see, we are able to keep that that line of sight clear, but if he starts to, starts to zigzag through these buildings, it's going to be a whole different ball game. I would not be surprised to see him dump this bike by any means.
Yeah, what's interesting, I'm wondering if there's any significance at all to this insignia that we're seeing on this, on what he's wearing, on the jacket, on, you know, the black jacket, the black pants, whether that has some meaning or not. And I'm very curious about that device that is in the backpack that is that may be one of those 360-degree cameras as described by one of our technicians here at ABC7. So I'm just curious about what exactly is going on here and why this person allegedly had a gun and at least made that evident to someone who felt unsure enough about it to call the police and to be concerned about the possession of that weapon. So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered here. We may not get them if he ends up dumping this bike and getting away from the police. We may not know what's going on in this person's mind, what this was, whether it was a stunt or whether it's something far more sinister. We just don't know yet. And but we do know, I think, is that, you know, he's in a position where he can get away from the pursuers if he wants. He certainly, if he wants to aggressively try to get away from the pursuing officers, he can. There's lots of places he's already passed that he could duck into or look like he's ducking into and go somewhere else. So it's curious right now. He's going straight northbound. It's still on Figueroa, is that correct?
Northbound Figueroa, he's kind of passing through the downtown area. He may come out on the north side, maybe even hit the 101 freeway here. He is splitting those lanes, putting real distance between him and any of those LAPD units, but he's navigating this traffic really well that is at a standstill at these various intersections. He's using every ounce of pavement at his disposal, making a right turn here, possibly onto 3rd Street or just going around traffic on Fig, and continuing, it looks like continuing northbound Fig. Northbound Fig, now on the north side of downtown LA. Thankfully, that air support helicopter able to maintain a visual, still following him from above and devoting still all of those ground resources to trying to catch up with him. So they are not letting up on him, but he is underneath that tunnel, a notorious spot for pursuits to end. We'll see if he comes out the other side or not. He may or may not. This is just an iconic spot where he may very well be gone with the wind. We'll see where he comes out here. It's always a little bit tricky as we make our way through downtown LA.
Yeah, and just based on how we saw him moving through downtown Los Angeles, I mean, it certainly looked as if he is familiar enough with this area to kind of know what turn to take versus what turn maybe would not work in his favor. Would you agree, Chris?
I missed that, Michelle. One more time.
I just was mentioning that based off of the behavior that we saw from him in downtown Los Angeles in terms of the turns he was taking or not taking, it seemed as if he was relatively familiar with the area and knew how to kind of maneuver his way as best possible to avoid authorities.
Well, I think it's fair to say we're in the area, in the general part of town where this started. I don't know exactly where they picked it up, but it does seem that after he left downtown, made his way all the way down to the 105, not a close distance, and now all the way back up into this general area, it seems like it is an area he may be more comfortable with. It's a little bit hard to say. He seems, by my eye, to kind of be making these turns up as he goes along. These appear to be mostly random turns. I think he is creating content with that camera. I think he's it seems to be part of his intent here, but what exactly is going through his mind, what he's doing with that weapon, how all of this started, just leaves so many more questions than answers. But I do agree with Mark and Mike. It does look like one of those Insta360 cameras, if not some other type of camera stick. But in any event, he was using that. At one point, he actually had it in his hand. It wasn't just hanging off the tail. He actually had it in his hand and was waving it around as he was shooting with it, and then he put it back and was using his cell phone at various points. He appeared to be talking into the speakerphone, communicating with somebody, and now he just seems to be focused on hiding out as he has now made his way into downtown LA and is somewhere in these tunnels as they try and pick this up once again right underneath the road.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you on station there, and we're going to pick this up if the pursuit continues, if there's some sighting, if there's a development here that we can track. And rather than stay static over these buildings where we can't see much of anything, we're going to come back to this as needed if something new develops. We know the LAPD is still very much interested in this. We will come back to you. In the meantime, there's other news to cover.
That's certainly right. An LA ordinance banning homeless encampments within 500 feet of schools.
But an encampment that's close to 2